After practicing for my upcoming tryout with AFC Richmond, I begin the video at Fenton City Park. And my oh my, that house on the hill looks awfully fancy. Fenton is located off of the Merrimack River in south-central St. Louis County. Head any further south from here and you'll be in Metherson County. Jefferson County. Fenton is about 20 miles southwest of the St. Louis Arch, and word is that in his prime, Roy Kent once kicked a ball from the top of the hill, the one where we just saw the giant house on, and the ball went right down Broadway straight through the middle of the Gateway Arch. And afterwards, unfortunately, it struck a cardinal flying over the Mississippi, and now the cardinal is buried right outside of Busch Stadium. Now, maybe I'm gullible, but that's what I was told.
What is AFC Richmond? Who is Roy Kent? What are you even talking about?
That's Ted Lasso if you haven't seen it. If you're a TV watcher, you should check it out. But I don't know. Maybe since we're in Missouri, seeing Marty Byrde pack away drug money deep in the Ozarks would be more of your thing. Anyway, Fenton, Missouri is a very small suburb of St. Louis, and to my knowledge, it's not featured on any TV show. Yet. And Fenton, Missouri is also a very wealthy one. And oh yes, this is the American dream right here, isn't it? Owning a large house in suburbia with a 2-car garage? I mean, if cookie-cutter designs don't bother you, then this is the place to be. Hold that thought though, because we're going to talk about all of the economic stats of Fenton, Missouri later in the video, because first, we're going to talk about the history of the place, as it was founded in 1818 by William Lindsay Long, and it was named after his Welsh grandmother, Elizabeth Fenton Bennett. Shortly after that, a small 8-block area along the Merrimack River was drawn out, and that small 8-block area still stands here today, and it's referred to as Old Town Fenton. In 1833, a ferry crossing was established across the Merrimack River. Also in 1833, the first post office was established. Later in 1854, a corporation was formed by a group of businessmen to build the first bridge across the mighty Merrimack River. Things were going smooth, and in 1874, Fenton was officially incorporated as a town. However, that didn't last very long because sometime shortly after that, the town once again became unincorporated. As time went on, Fenton saw suburban-like growth from the ever-expanding St. Louis suburban sprawl. In 1955, Fenton was able to reincorporate as a city, and today, Fenton remains as a smaller suburb in south-central St. Louis County, near the border with Jefferson County. The area that surrounds Fenton in most directions, however, is developed land, yet unincorporated, meaning that it doesn't belong to any city, rather, it's just unincorporated land in Jefferson and St. Louis counties. Many of the homes and subdivisions in this rather large unincorporated area have a Fenton address. This video will be relatively short, but I drove around the area for a while, and it took a long time as there's winding roads going through the hills and valleys that make up the terrain. And to see a video that shows more of what the area looks like, make sure to go follow my second channel, and the link for that is down below. Once the second video is uploaded, the link for that will also be down below. So this is Old Town Fenton, and quite honestly, it's not very impressive at all. There's nothing but a bunch of older buildings here, and there's not much to do in terms of having a selection of restaurants and shops. If someone were to kidnap you and throw you in the back of a van, blindfold you and dump you out on this particular stretch of street, let's say your phone battery was dead, you would think that this is just your typical forgotten rural town out in the backwoods made up of a small handful of grid streets, but Fenton isn't out in the middle of nowhere. In fact, there's plenty of money here too. That's why this Old Town Fenton area is rather disappointing. I guess Fenton never really hopped on the bandwagon of modernizing their downtown areas like most other suburban communities have in this country. Anyway, Fenton has potential, and I'd like to see the city do a better job with their Old Town Fenton district in the future. It's not unrealistic for the city to make some investments to their Old Town Fenton district because the city definitely has the means to do so, or so you would think, as most of the people who live in Fenton live in newer fancy subdivisions, and the city has a high median household income, meaning that the city collects a good amount of tax dollars, whereas a city of the same size that would instead be poverty-stricken wouldn't be able to do much to modernize a downtown area. Points being, Fenton's downtown area doesn't resemble the surrounding community at all, and once again, it's quite disappointing. Right now, we're right outside of the Walmart as we have left the Old Town Fenton area, and the Fenton Walmart actually has some history to mention, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But really quick, I wanted to jump ahead to the north side of Fenton, as there used to be two large Chrysler assembly plants on the north side of town. There was a north plant and a south plant, and between the two, Chrysler employed thousands in the area. The plants opened in 1959, however they closed in 2009. The site has since been purchased and redeveloped for industrial purposes, so it's not like many of the other former auto assembly plants that we see throughout the Midwest, as this has quickly been able to be redeveloped. And to see what influence Chrysler had on the area, you have a residential subdivision nearby with street names such as Dart Lane, Furry Drive, and Imperial Lane, which are all names of car models that Chrysler once made. You of course have Chrysler Drive in the middle of the subdivision. You might as well call Fenton the Auburn Hills of St. Louis. Auburn Hills, Michigan is where Chrysler is headquartered, now called Stellantis technically, and it's famously where the Palace of Auburn Hills once was located, which was home to the NBA's Detroit Pistons for a long time. And it's funny because coincidentally enough, the old Chrysler plant site here in Fenton was once considered to be the site of a new stadium for the St. Louis Rams of the NFL, but most of us know that the Rams instead relocated to Los Angeles. Alright, so moving on to the next and final talking point when it comes to the history of Fenton, as the road that we're turning on right here is called Gravois Bluffs Boulevard. This actually used to be the site of an ancient burial mound called the Fenton Mounds. That's right, the area that we call Fenton today is thought to have been inhabited by people for longer than 1,000 years. There were two mounds high on a limestone bluff that overlooked the Merrimack River. That is until Big Bad Walmart purchased the land and built a giant supercenter here. In 1998, there was plenty of tension between the developers of this Walmart and a local archaeologist over building the large department store on this particular site. And obviously, the developers got their way and the Walmart ended up being built. The following strip malls that neighbor the Walmart were built afterwards. However, for the previous 1,000 years, the site was an ancient resting place. The burial structures that used to stand where the Walmart Supercenter stands today was dated anywhere from the year 600 to the year 1400. Historians believe that the group of people that inhabited the Fenton area from back then is the same group of people who inhabited the area associated with the ancient Cahokia Mounds just east of St. Louis in Illinois. And those mounds were not destroyed by a Walmart Supercenter, as they still stand, and you can actually climb to the top and get a nice view of the St. Louis skyline. If there's any positive takeaway from the Walmart, I guess it's that Fenton residents now have a centralized place to get some good deals on Mountain Dew. I mean, maybe you can save $1 on buying a 12-pack of Mountain Dew if you buy it at this Walmart rather than a different nearby grocery store. And for some people, that's the means for celebration. But the way that I look at it is that it came at the cost of destroying an ancient burial mound, which could have been a cool tourist attraction for the area. Similar to how the Cahokia Mound served that purpose for an otherwise bland area of Metro East. I mean, think about it. There could have been a pedestrian path that connected Old Town Fenton to the top of the ancient mounds, and you could have had a nice view over Old Town Fenton from the top of the mounds. And maybe if this Walmart wasn't here, then all of these other chain stores wouldn't be here either, and Old Town Fenton would have a nice selection of restaurants and shops, and it would be a nice place to spend some time at on a Saturday. But it's not that way. And it'll never be that way. What a shame. So now we're going to head back into Old Town Fenton, and I'll talk about the economic stats for the area. Today, Fenton is home to just under 4,000 people, and the median household income is $97,000 per year. As many as 43% of adults 25 and older hold a bachelor's degree or higher, and the median value of owner-occupied housing units is just over $300,000, whereas the poverty rate is a very low 2.3%. So yeah, like I said, Old Town Fenton doesn't do the place any justice, as it doesn't at all resemble the community. If anything, you just have a few old buildings and maybe a historical marker here and there. There's also a street in Old Town Fenton called Mounds Street, and it pointed straight at where the mounds used to be. And quite frankly, the more I talk about it, the more annoyed and disappointed I am in the direction that the city went with building the Walmart. There's a few historic buildings on the left here, but that's about it. Anyway, when it comes to the crime, you don't really have anything to worry about in Fenton, as it's a very safe community. The worst thing about the place is probably the fact that you're right next to a bunch of meth sheds in Jefferson County and some of the other surrounding unincorporated area. Get away from the fancy newer subdivisions, and there's a bunch of windy roads that head through the hills and valleys of the surrounding terrain, and there's a lot of trailer parks that give the place a Kentucky-like feel. It's not to offend anyone, it's just the truth, as the St. Louis area, in particular Jefferson County, historically has been one of the nation's biggest illegal drug hubs, and meth usage in both Missouri and Illinois, specifically Jefferson County, Missouri, are out of this world, and it's been that way for a long time, unfortunately so. But don't let the talk about meth and drugs stop you from looking at Fenton if you're looking for a place to move in the area, because when it comes to the South County area, Fenton isn't a bad choice at all. Niche.com gives the public schools an A+, and Area Vibes gives Fenton a livability score of 91 out of 100. And that website doesn't give out a score above 90 very easily. Soon we're going to be away from the Old Town Fenton area altogether, and we'll be checking out one of the fancier and newer subdivisions. The subdivision that we're going to be heading through looks nothing like this, and technically it's not in the Fenton city limits, rather it's a part of unincorporated Jefferson County. The homes in the subdivision that we're about to see, however, do have Fenton addresses, so it's all a part of the Fenton area, and most of the people who live in not only Fenton, but in the surrounding area, live in a subdivision like the one that we're about to see, and we'll be there shortly. So yes, most of the people who live in Fenton and in the surrounding area live in neighborhoods like what you see here. Well, I continued my drive in Fenton and in the surrounding area in a separate video that I will have uploaded on my second channel, and the link for it will be down below once the video is uploaded. With that said, I do end the video here. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as doing all of those things helps these videos destroy the evil monster that is the YouTube algorithm. Also, make sure to hit that notification bell and select yes, so that you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. If you enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy checking out some of the featured playlists on this channel. Videos with amazing insights on other places like what you saw here can be found in my St. Louis Suburbs playlist or in my Missouri playlist. Last but not least, if you can't get enough of me on here, you can always go follow me on my other social media accounts, and those links are below. We'll see you next time. Peace.